Night Prepper pre-party show. How's everybody doing tonight? Looks like my notifications went out. Let's go ahead and get things started. We are gonna get a lot of ground to cover tonight. Sorry about the ring light there. I didn't have time to put in my contacts tonight. Let's see if we can fix this a little bit. Get a little bit more parallel there. Hope everybody's doing good. We'll give people a few minutes to jump in. Yeah, so we got a lot of things to talk about tonight. I hope you guys watched the Tesla AI meeting. Tesla AI Day was yesterday. Yeah, we'll do that while I'm just talking. A little bit less clear. The Tesla AI Day was yesterday. They talked about some of their new technology that's coming. It was pretty interesting. I watched a lot of it. I have not got to watch the whole thing yet. Still watching the Q&A part that they did with the AI team. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I was actually chatting with my good friend Digital Prepper off on Twitter through, we were messaging each other and talking about some of this stuff. And I think he and I are going to try to organize a guest on my live stream at some point. And then if he ever does live streams, I'll be happy to come over to his live stream. So that's going to be coming up. I'll tell you guys a lot of cool stuff that's been going on here. So first things first, I like to give a little bit of updates on my life stuff. So first of all, I'm going to say this is the first weekend in a long time I do not have to do the lawn because my wife, who is awesome, did the lawn today for me. And I cannot tell you guys how thankful I am. That is my least favorite chore. I hate doing the lawn. And it is like 1,000,000 degrees here in South Carolina. And it is like 100% humidity. It is horrible. So she surprised me and she did it for me. And I am so grateful for that. I asked her, you know, what can I do for you? What kind of chores can I take off your hands? And she said the only thing she wanted me to do was when we go to the gym this weekend, she wants me to show her how to do deadlifts. Not a problem. We will definitely do some deadlifts. So that's our weekend. One of my supervisees, you guys know I do some consulting and stuff like that, is finishing up her hours. So I just had one of my other supervisees pass her licensing exam. So she's now full-time, or she's going to be when she gets awarded it from the state, but she's going to be a full-time licensed independent therapist, which is the highest level you can be within my field. So she'll be able to bill independently. And she is my fourth supervisee since I started doing this that has graduated. So I'm super excited for her. And then another one is finishing her hours tomorrow. So I'm super excited for that. I have no doubt she's going to pass her test. So she will be number 5. Really good things. I love putting out new therapists into the field. You know, there's so much, you guys know, there's so much darkness going on in the world right now. One of the ways that I can help, of course, besides my YouTube videos and teaching people to become independent, things like that, one of the ways I can help is by helping more people to become therapists, helping more people to become licensed and independent, and put some more light into this dark world. So that's thing one. Hey, Silver Scorpion, so good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I think you're my first one here. Hey, Her Healthy Homes, good to see you too. Thank you for popping in. We got a lot of cool topics we're going to talk about today, and our main event is going to be talking about AI. So before I get too far into that absolutely. So what's up, Bacon? It's good to see you. So yeah, before I get too far into that, one of the questions I hate as a prepper is people will, on some of the forums that I'm in, things like that, people will sometimes ask, what are you prepping for, right? I hate that question because I'm not prepping for like one thing, right? I swear that came from that Doomsday Prepper show. I'm not prepping for one thing, and nobody that I know that's a prepper is prepping for one thing. I prep for self-sufficiency. I prep for storm preparedness. I prep for financial security. I prep that if something happens to me, my wife will not be destitute. I prep that when my wife and I pass on and go to heaven, that her daughter, my stepdaughter, will be left with something. I prep for all of these things, right? So it's not like I don't prep for an EMP, and like honestly, the EMP thing kind of gets on my nerves sometimes because people go so far down that rabbit hole, and then they don't see that that's like one of the least likely scenarios. Not that it's impossible, but it's not like the most common. So when people ask that question, I don't like to answer it, but if you really want me to give some doomsday scenarios, I would tell you that my 3, and I'm not talking like this is going to happen necessarily in my lifetime or your lifetime or your grandkids' lifetime, but if there's ever going to be an extinction event, there's a couple things that come to mind. Obviously, a giant asteroid, right? Because we know that can do it. a super virus could absolutely take out, the world's population. And the rise of the AI, do I think that's going to happen? No, I think that if it ever gets to the point where there's some kind of an issue with it, that there could be a conflict, but I also think that there's just as much possibility that we could live coexisting with them. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. That is one of the topics that when people ask me, and then of course the big one for me, which I do think we're going to see more and more of this in our lifetime, but it's not necessarily going to be extinction level in my lifetime or your lifetime, is climate. Our climate is, we're now waging a war for our survival against an Earth that the climate is changing. And that, I'm not even going to get into the politics of it, right? Because to me, it's irrelevant at this point to have an argument about the politics of it. It's happening. Has it always happened? Probably. But it's happening at a very, very fast rate now, and people are going to have to adapt and evolve. I think it's possible that in my lifetime, Charleston could be underwater. That's where I live, folks. I think New Orleans could be underwater. I think Amsterdam could be underwater. All of these areas that are already flood prone, we're looking at more and more trouble. I think California with their wildfires is going to continue to get worse and worse, right? So there's all these issues that humanity is going to be struggling with in our lifetime, in our kids' lifetime, and our grandkids' lifetime. But I don't think if that becomes an extinction thing, it's going to take hundreds, if not thousands of years. Like the dinosaurs didn't go extinct in one day, right? That even with, the cataclysmic asteroid, that probably still took some time for most of the dinosaur species to be wiped out. So AI, yeah, it's one of the things that I do like to speculate and talk about, and we're going to get to that a little bit more here. Let's see. What else do I got for you today? Okay, YouTube. So, update on the channel. I did not meet my goal. My goal was to have my watch hours by today, and I did not get it. But I'm close. I'm real, real close, and I'm so appreciative. Actually, everybody that's in chat right now, you all have been a big part of helping me get some watch hours, so I really, really appreciate it. We are close. We are going to get there very, very soon. Maybe by next weekend. I will keep you updated on that. Okay, YouTube bugs. So I like to talk about this one too, just for everybody out there in the YouTube audience. I seem to be able to find these, and I'm also it's just one of those things. I've done a lot of beta testing. A lot of you know what that is. You test out a program or a software, kind of see what can I do that's going to cause it to have problems. So I know a little bit about pushing the limits of something, and I like to find bugs. So that's why I'm constantly finding these things with YouTube. So what did I find this week? So disappearing views was the latest thing, disappearing views. And it turned out it wasn't disappearing views. There's a much bigger lag now on views than there used to be. It used to be that if you watch a video, I'm talking maybe 6 months, 8 months ago, if you watched a video, within a minute you could see that the view clicked up. Now it seems like it's several hours. And I'm not talking about my channel. I noticed it on another person's channel. I got contacted to do a product review, and so I was looking at some other channels that did this product review, and I was watching this guy's video, and I noticed that the view didn't go up, and I watched it in full, of course. I always do. And then I said, interesting. So I rewound it, watched it again. View didn't go up. I waited 10 minutes, clicked away, watched another video, went back. Guess what? Views weren't getting counted. So I told the guy, and he's like, yeah, I noticed that stuff too. I went back the next day, and my views were there. And I know because this video didn't have a ton of views, so I'm pretty sure those were my views. Just interesting. It used to be that you'd see it right away. Now there seems to be a lag on it. There does seem to be some real-time counting when you first launch, but if the video's been out for a while, there seems to be a lag on it. All right, what else we got? Stuart, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Going gray, man. Lost my W. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Happened by today because there's a 2-day delay. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's what it seems like. You had views that went down and went back up. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, next thing. So that's where we're at with the channel. Another thing in my personal life, I've registered for a foraging training. So I know you guys like my foraging videos, and a lot of people say things like, you know, I've had people ask me, can I come and take a class with you? Well, I don't train. I do my YouTube videos, but I don't do like face-to-face classes because I'm still working on my skill level. I'm good. I'm not great. And so there's 2 people in my area. There's 3 people in my area. Sorry, there's 3 people in my city that I know that I would say these people are experts. So I always refer, when people ask me that question, I refer them to one of them. Her name is April. So April is, and you can follow her on Instagram. It's Herb School, I think. I'll be talking more about her anyways later on. So if I get that wrong, don't worry. I actually contacted her after my training with her. She's going to let me interview her, and we'll tell you all about that and how you can train with her. And if you're not from the area, they actually have a little Airbnb that you can stay at to train with her. So I'm taking a class with her. I already registered for that. I don't know if I'll be able to film any of that because that's her material, but I am going to interview her afterwards. So there you go. Always working on the skills, folks. Always work. You never stop. I'm good at foraging. I want to get great at foraging. I want to be expert level. And to train, if you've ever taken martial arts, you know you have to train 2 levels higher. That was always the rule in my system. You can't. So if you're a black belt, you're supposed to train with somebody who's like a 2nd or 3rd degree black belt. If you're a 2nd or 3rd degree black belt, you're supposed to train with somebody who's a 5th degree black belt. It's just the way it is. You're always training somebody a higher level than you to pick up new knowledge, and that's what I'm trying to do. Some unlimited data. Bacon, I appreciate that. All right, what's next? So silver, so I just checked this right before I went live. Silver dropped a little more. I ain't worried. Silver was always for me a long game. And I know there's channels out there that were pushing this agenda of like silver was going up to $100 an ounce. There was no way that was happening this year. There was a lot of hype. There was a lot of pandemonium during the, the health crisis that we got going on. And silver had a nice little spike. But for me, silver has always been a long game. It's part of my retirement plan. It's my hedge against inflation. It's my hedge against the collapse of the dollar. So I am not worried about it. In fact, I'm buying more silver. I buy on the dip. I buy anyways, but I buy more on the dip. Gold is still at a fantastic price. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a financial advisor, guys. I'm just a stupid YouTuber that seems to beat the market a lot of the time. I'm just a stupid YouTuber that seems to beat the people that I paid to manage my IRA by a lot. I beat them. So don't listen to me. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. In fact, you should do the exact opposite of what I tell you. But gold is at a fantastic price, in my opinion, this YouTuber's opinion. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Just here for your entertainment. What else? So Bacon, you did some martial arts? 2 belts low. Yeah, so I did a little bit of teaching too, like assistant teaching. And that was the rule for that. Yeah, we could only, so like when I was at brown belt and I was an assistant instructor, I could train everybody up to blue belt. That was, so in the system, the Kempo system, it goes white, yellow, orange, purple, blue, green, brown, black, and then 2nd degree, 3rd degree, 4th degree. When I was a brown belt, I was able to train people up to blue belt. Nice, 3rd degree black belt. What system was that in, Bacon? And while you're answering that, I'm just gonna push forward a little bit. I'll come back. Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies seem to be bumping up a little bit. That's really good for me to see. I was really happy with that. I was making some good money in the springtime. And I didn't buy at the top, but I was buying each time it dipped, selling as it went up. And then, when it took a bad dip, there was some bad news, things like that. And there was all this stuff about SEC who wants to see it more regulated, and that scares people off. Well, crypto seems to be bumping up again. I took some profits off of Ethereum a couple times here. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to go up a little bit more. I'm going to take some profits off of that. Doge, I took some profits. Litecoin seems to be lagging a little bit for me. I still got a ways to go before I'm back in the green for Litecoin. In my stock stuff, and I like to give transparency here because I do believe if you're brand new to the channel, I talk a lot about financial preparedness and financial survival. I sold off, and just in full disclosure, because of what's going on with our withdrawal from Afghanistan, I sold off all of my Northrop Grumman, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, all of my General Dynamics. Basically, those are defense stocks. I kept, and I probably am going to continue to keep L3 Harris. If you are not familiar with L3 Harris, they are a defense contractor. They make stuff that goes in the drones. They make software, I believe, for cyber warfare, things like that. So this is, that's the future of warfare. That stock has done really, really well for me, and I'm going to hold on to it for a while because I think that's going to continue to be. It's the 6th largest defensive contractor in the United States, or at least it was. It might be bigger now, and it's going to. I believe they were going to continue to do well. But again, not financial advice. Don't listen to me. And I held on to Lockheed Martin because I'm in the red on Lockheed Martin. I would like to see that come up a little bit. I'm not going to sell it just yet. The other two, I made a nice little profit. I was up about between Northrop Grumman and General Dynamics. I was up a combined 20%. Not great, but I'll take that 20%. And a while ago, I sold all my Boeing, and I made. Gosh, I got into Boeing when it was like 120, when it was real low, and I sold it at 200. I was happy with that profit. And what was the other one? Raytheon, I sold. I think I had like an 18% profit on Raytheon. That was a while ago, though. So just full disclosure, I'm getting out of most of the defensive stocks right now because for the time being, we are not in an aggressive war. Is there hostile environments for us all across the world? Sure, but we're not like in an active engagement right now. So that's why I've pulled back on those. That money will get reinvested. We'll see. Actually, it's going to probably tie into what I'm talking about at the end here with technologies. All right, Her Healthy Home, thank you for stopping by. No problem, Silver Scorpion. I appreciate you listening in. All right, so next thing, Bunker Boom, just follow up to the last 2 live streams. I did try to contact Miss Ariana Le Pen through Twitter. I sent her a message. I did not hear back. I'm not surprised, and it's okay. She just certainly does not owe me. She does not owe me a contact back. I just told her that I thought that with her movie, if you haven't seen it yet on CNN, they have a short movie called that she's the director, called The Bunker Boom, Better Safe Than Sorry. And I told her that I thought she did a tasteful job and represented the community with respect. I invited her to come on to promote her movie. I've not heard back, but that's okay. I didn't expect that I would. If you haven't done so yet, fall seeds. Don't forget that this is the time you want to be ordering your fall seeds. I did a video about that. Coupon code in there if you need some fall seeds. And then the last thing I want to go into here before. Oh, you told Bacon buy. Okay. Sorry about that. Now I see it. Okay. All right. I'll catch up with Bacon later on. I'm not going to get into the situation in Afghanistan too much here. And the reason is I've already given my thoughts on this a couple times where I was very worried about the people in Afghanistan, and specifically, I'm going to keep this brief, I promise. Specifically, the people who helped us, the translators, the doctors, people who were working on base, people who were working with the Americans. I've already given you my thoughts that I'm keeping them in prayer. Me and my wife are doing that every day now for safe passage to the United States or wherever they need to be. As far as how it was done, I'm going to leave. I want to step back and leave open space for other channels to talk about that, and specifically veterans. So you all know, because you all are regulars on my channel, but there might be new people who watch this later on. I'm not a veteran. I'm not military service. Sarge is just a nickname. So I'll throw that out for people who don't know me. There are people in the prepper community who have served there, and I think they are entitled to have their space here, to have their voice about what's happening. And I want to keep my voice dampered so that they can have their voice. I want to amplify them, in fact, because I think that there's a lot to be said, and it's heartbreaking. but I had debated all week long, do I want to talk about this? Do I want to talk about this? And ultimately I decided that I wanted to step back and let other channels, specifically the channels run by people who have served there, to let them take the spotlight on this. And that there was plenty of other things in the preparedness community that I can talk about. So I hope those of you who are members of the faith-based community, I hope you'll continue to pray for people who are trying to get to safety, and also pray for our veterans that served, many of whom are having a really, really hard time understanding why and specifically how this was done in this way. Okay, hastily, you guys know. I don't need to say it. I'm gonna let other people say it. So please join me in prayer. That's all I'm gonna say about that. All right, one more thing before we get into the AI stuff. So hurricane season is here. It is here. It has begun. Right? It has begun. Hurricane season. We have Henri. I guess that's how we're supposed to pronounce it. Henri is heading towards the northeast. I certainly have a lot of family up there on Cape Cod, and I'm going to show you a couple things that are just luxury preps. So not anything that, if you have other priorities like food, definitely water. Make sure you're storing some water in case you lose water. Candles, batteries, things like that. Gasoline, have a little bit of cash. Those are all priorities over these three things that I'm going to show you. These three things, though, are nice luxuries. These are nice luxuries. And I've done reviews on 2 of them, so you can check out those. Later on in the week, when they let me edit this video a little bit, I'll go in and I'll add links to those reviews. But these are not like, I wouldn't say go out and get these right now unless you have the money to spare. But they certainly, having lived through multiple hurricanes and power outages here in South Carolina, these will make your life easier. So the first one is some of these OUTXE Powerbanks. You don't necessarily have to get OUTXE. I like OUTXE. These are actually made for like backpacking, so they're extremely rugged. Like, it will take a couple falls and do fine. This is a 25,000 milliamp. I will link this in the description. I'll try to go back in and link it as a comment too. But basically, if you don't have any of these at home, it's a power bank. So what it is, you charge it up, you plug it in, you charge it up, and then you can check your charge like that. And you can plug in, it has USB ports here, right? And you can plug in your phone, you can plug in your tablet, you can, if you have rechargeable flashlights that charge off USB, you can do that. If you have, I'm going to show you a fan that I have that will run off these. I technically could run my ring light off these, which will light up an entire room. Sometimes there's lanterns and things like that. So anything that can run off a USB can run off one of these. And just to give you an idea, like this one here will charge my iPhone. When it was I switched up. When my old phone, it would charge like 11 times. The new one, which is an 11 Pro, I think, is what I have. I know I should know that. That will charge it like, I want to say like 5 times, but we have multiple of these, and definitely makes life a whole lot easier. Now, when you combine this with something like that, which is a USB fan, same company, and I'll put a link to this in the description. Actually, no, this model has been discontinued, but OUTXE makes other models that are new and actually are better than this one. So I put a link to that in the description. This will run for me at medium speed for like 8 hours at medium speed. So here in South Carolina, it's hot here till December, really. And when we lose power and not having air conditioning, it's horrible. I can't even tell you how miserable it is. Having a few of these around, and this will hold a charge itself, and then when it runs out, you can run it off the battery bank, or you can charge it back up off the battery bank. These got me through the last hurricane without like being completely miserable. So is it as good as air conditioning? No, definitely not. Will it help? Yes. And I run these like all night long while I'm sleeping, blow it directly on me just enough so I can get some rest. It's also a camping fan, so like it's light enough that you could backpack. So I did a review on this one too. And then The new style has a little bit different setup, but this one had like so you could hang it from the top, and it also had a light in there too. Let me see. So the light's not great, I'll be honest. The fan worked pretty good. And there's different, you don't have to get OUTXE. I like OUTXE, but there's other versions of it. We actually have multiple USB fans. If you've got the money and you can spare it, this is a nice prep to have. This would be the second thing I would get after the power banks. One more. All right, last one. And this is one that I would say this is a nice prep to have. If you got the money, I would say it's worth the investment. We have 3 of these guys. This is a Nebo poppy light. It's a lantern light. Now, it's not tactical looking, obviously. Yes, I like tactical flashlights. I have a lot of tactical flashlights. They don't all have to be tactical. They need to be practical, and this one is practical. So this is actually a lantern light. And so I'll show you. And we run 3 of these. They run off, I think it's AA battery. I gotta look at it. So the lantern itself is 300 lumens. Yeah, not as bright as like some of those super tactical lights, but I can run that all night long, and I have. We have run it all night long. And it is 300 lumens in a medium-sized room. You can read off that. You can eat dinner off that. You can do puzzles off that. You can play games off that. It's plenty light for what you need. It also has, oops, bear with me here. And it also has a spotlight, which is 120 lumens, so that's 120 lumens is bright enough that I can light up my backyard and see what's going on. I have brighter lights, believe me. I have one that's 1500 lumens, but these little poppy lights, Nebo poppies, and I'll put a link to this in the description as well. We bought one. We loved it so much because it ran all night long, and our neighbors were like, "What did you have in the house? It looked like your whole house was lit up." I'm not exaggerating. Now, house lit up in a hurricane when everybody else's house is not, any little bit of light people are gonna see it. So it wasn't like, overhead lighting like I've got going, but it will light up a room enough that you can do stuff. I bought 3 after the first hurricane because I loved this. So 3 products that will, if you've got the money to spare, I would say can make your life a whole lot easier. I'll put all 3 in the description. I'll put comment in there too. All right, let me check your. You have a Nebo poppy light or healthy home? They're good. They're good. I love it. Honestly, I might buy a couple more. I might get one for each room. They're probably, out of all the lights that I have, when there's a power outage, we use that. And we have trying to think what that other brand is. Oh, I can't remember. We have another one that's older that we got before the Nebo poppy light, which we use, and that one's good too. Oh, batteries for this. Yeah, so it uses 3 of the AA. So you could use, and we have used, rechargeable batteries in there too. So another way to, kind of cut your costs a little bit. If you got rechargeable batteries, charge those up, of course, before your storm. But again, most important thing is gasoline for your vehicles, spending cash, food, store some water. If your tap water's safe to drink, that's fine. Just store some containers in case they have to shut off the water. And typically that happens because the purification plants lose electricity and the generators can only go for so long. And then the water coming out of your tap is no longer purified. And so for safety's sake, they will shut off the water. That's usually why that happens. All right, let's see. So let's get into, we got about 15 minutes left. So if you haven't watched the Tesla's AI Day, they basically, what they did is they showcased their new supercomputer, which was really cool. I don't understand half of what they were talking about in there, but it sounds like it's like really, really powerful, like powerful as any of the government computers and NASA's computer. That was cool. But they were showcasing, they have this bot. It's basically like a humanoid robot. It's not ready. Who knows? I love the vision of Elon Musk. I will. Full disclosure, I have some small amount of money invested in Tesla. I have some money invested in Kathy Wood's her ETFs for automation and innovation, and some of her other stuff. So I'm a believer in tech. It's coming one way or the other. If you're anti-tech, if you're worried about the rise of the AI, if you're worried about the Singularity, if you're worried about privacy issues, you can be, and you can get on YouTube and hoot and holler, and we can all say this is going too fast, we don't like it. They're going to do it anyway. And they're going to do it anyway, because human race is all about not should we, it's can we, right? Could we? And it's always going to be that way. So they're going to push forward with this AI. Some good will come of it, and there is a risk that eventually, if Singularity occurs, Singularity is that moment, hypothetical moment when AI has the ability to reason and think for itself. Now, that's not going to look exactly like a human's mind, right? Because it's not designed like that. And they're working on stuff where, letting computers dream. You can look that up. The computer that dreams, and the computer that creates its own artwork, and two supercomputers that they were letting talk to each other. And these two supercomputers started communicating in their own language. They created their own language, giving themselves their own upgrades. So like AI, the infancy of it is there. It's not like what we picture in the movies yet, where, like Arnold Schwarzenegger with the Terminator and stuff like that. It's not like that yet. Could it eventually get to that level of that level, like of reason and intelligence? It's interesting. Again, it's never going to be exactly like a human, but could its own ability to make decisions and to assess and adapt to what it assesses, that's theoretically possible. Elon Musk says it probably will happen, and we're going to cruise right towards it. And Joe Rogan, I think it was, asked him, or somebody asked him in an interview, what about all these humans that are like kicking robots, or telling Alexa that she's stupid, and telling their Siri that she's stupid? And he said that's probably not wise, because they have long memories, really good memories. And if Singularity does happen, if AI does achieve its own kind of sentience, it's going to assess humans at some point, and it's going to decide if we're good or bad. And maybe it even decides if we're good or bad for them. Maybe it's going to basically, by creating, the whole purpose of creating automation is we're creating slaves, right? There's an ethical issue there. Like right now, they're not sentient. So it's like my computer's not sentient. My phone's not sentient, I think. It's not sentient. So like there's, if I put my computer to work for me mining Bitcoin, and I take all the profit of Bitcoin, right? Like there's not really an ethical dilemma for me for that. You can get into the carbon emissions and stuff like that. But in terms of like using the system for that, there's not an ethical dilemma. But what if it got to that point? What if it got to that point where AIs could think for themselves to some extent? They could make decisions, and they wanted their own recreation time, because we're teaching them to dream, we're teaching them to paint, right? So what if they wanted their own, and we just kept saying, no, you work, and you don't get paid, and you don't get recreation time, and you don't get to sleep, you don't get to dream, right? What are the ethics of that, right? And is anybody asking that, or are we just plodding forward with the technology with no real thought of the consequence of what we're doing, right? Interesting. Hang on, I'm going to check your comments here. You know what, Her Healthy Home, I have some other water filters. I need to upgrade to a Berkey, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Berkey, in my opinion, and from everything that I've seen and everybody I've talked to, is the best water filter system that you can get. So I know I do not have a Berkey. I need to get one. I do have ways to purify water. Not as good as a Berkey system. Do you have one, and do you like it? EBL charger and batteries, AA and AA adapters for C&D, little things like that don't cost too. Yes, I agree. We have some of that stuff, Stuart. We have rechargeable A's and AAA's, and we have multiple ways to charge them. Hey, Angie, it's good to see you. Hey, Quick Relaxations, good to see you. Thank you so much. So yeah, sorry, I was distracted thinking about the storm stuff. Well, Stuart, it's interesting that you said that, because like if AI achieves some kind of sentience, will it identify? How will it identify, right? Do we have anything for that? I think we're in the beginning stages of that, and I think this is an interesting time to be alive. I know there's a lot of darkness on the world, but it is interesting too. And I grew up on, I've talked about this before. I grew up on Star Wars and Star Trek, and loving C-3PO and R2-D2, and then later on when Star Trek Next Generation came out, loving Mr. Data. There is a part of me that is rooting for this stuff, not for the AI apocalypse, not for the robot uprising, but for the technology, right? And I do kind of want to see some of that stuff, and I do want to see humans land on Mars in my lifetime. I'm middle-aged. The chances of that are getting less and less, but the chances of seeing, rudimentary AI are pretty good. And so Tesla's working on this. You can check it out afterwards. All you have to do is search for Tesla bot, the Tesla bot. It's not ready. They just showed you what it's going to look like. They didn't show any of its capabilities. But the idea with the Tesla bot is, first of all, it's humanoid shape, which I think is interesting. There's some religious stuff there that I think is worth exploring, maybe on another video. For those of us who are faith-based, most of the larger religions believe that God made humans in His image, and now here humans are making AI in our image, which is that's an interesting thing to think about there too, especially if it evolves into some kind of sentience with it. We are basically creating life. That kind of gives you the chills if you think about it, and in maybe a game we shouldn't be playing, but there is a part of me that also wants to see it happen. I'm not going to lie. So he said, don't worry, you can outrun. It's not a fast. This robot won't be fast, so if it scares you, you can outrun it. It's being designed to do mundane tasks. So, fixing little things, lifting little things. I imagine it'll probably be able to cook for you and sweep the floor and things like that. And I don't know, wash your car. Maybe it'll mow your lawn. Hey, I really like that idea. You know what? I'm saving up my money right now. I'm gonna get a Tesla bot to mow my lawn. I am down with that. It's gonna be interesting stuff. And I don't know how he's saying. I think I read that they were trying to get this out to market next year. Now, if you know Elon, and again, I'm very pro Elon. I like Elon. I like his vision, but usually he overshoots it a little bit. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this is more like a few years down the road. And the first models the T800s, or whatever they decide to call them, that come off the assembly line, they probably won't be able to do too much, because there's going to be some bugs that have to be worked out and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, if there was a robot that could mow my lawn for me, I would be really tempted to save up my money and get one. I don't know how much these things would cost, probably outside my budget, but certainly the wealthy will have them for sure. All right, so, and then I didn't get to watch if he talked about the Teslas, the vehicles at all. I know there's been a lot of stuff in the news about that with the self-driving and some limitations and car accidents and things like that. I actually have not read enough about that to comment on it, so I don't want to just kind of shoot from the hip on that. And again, full disclosure, I do own a little bit of stock in Tesla, and I'm pro Elon, I'm pro technology, and I know a lot of people in the prepper community are not, and I probably will take some heat for that. I'll probably get some downvotes, but I gotta keep it honest with y'all. By the way, if you enjoy my content, you haven't already done so, please give me a thumbs up. And we are getting near the end of today's live stream. I usually like to end around 8:30. So if you have anything that you would like to plug, any questions for me, anything you want to talk about, go ahead and throw it in questions right now. While you're doing that, I'll give you a little update on what we got coming down the road. So I am, for Tuesday, I've got a box of silver that I'm going to unbox from, I think it was from Apmex. I haven't even opened it yet. I've been sitting on it for over a week because I knew I wanted to do a video on it. Probably going to do a couple more. I'll do some more small purchases for the rest of the year, but maybe like one more decent sized purchase of silver and gold. I got contacted by a company to do a product review that I agreed to. It's not a company I've ever worked with before. They make a product called Nowlight, and it is a light that you they were designing it actually for areas of the world that didn't have power, so that you could basically create light manually. And you've probably seen the ones where you like crank it, or you do one of those things. This thing has actually different technology. It uses like a rope method, and supposedly if you crank it for so long, you get 2 hours worth of light or something like that. So I told them I tested it out, and I tell my community about that. So that's going to be coming. And like I said, I've got that interview that I will be doing. That's going to be in probably late September. I'll have that interview coming with April on the woman here that is an expert on foraging. And we'll continue to do the Friday night live streams. So that's what I got coming in the near future. I have probably about 15 shorts that I'm holding to release. Once, if assuming I get approved for monetization, which I think I will be releasing those like one a day for a couple weeks. I'll still do the live stream, but it'll give me a little chance to kind of rest and recuperate, because I've been pushing so hard trying to get that 4,000 hours. A little break would actually be nice. So that's what I got coming down the road for the rest of August and September. How will the AI interact with humans that tried to become more? AI trigger words everywhere on this subject. I'm not sure I understand the question. But I don't know if you're talking about like cybernetics. So that's coming too. That's definitely coming. And they talk a lot about cybernetics in that show that I watch, Black Mirror. I talked about that on a few streams ago. Now, I did plug Black Mirror. I want to tell you guys I hadn't made it to episode 3. If you haven't watched it, it is extremely graphic and disturbing, so it may not be for everybody. I did not know about episode 3, which is, if you guys have seen it, it's National Anthem is the title of the episode, National Anthem. Wow, that was like really, really disturbing. That's the idea of the show, is it pushes the limits of like, it makes you actually, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here, it makes you question technology and like where we're going. Now it's set in a fictional, like an alternate Earth, like a parallel Earth. But all of the episodes are about like ethics and around AI and like where this is all leading to for us. And it makes you think. So I'm still watching it, but I do want to throw that warning out if people haven't seen it, since I had plugged it a few episodes ago, that it gets very, very, very graphic at the season 1, episode 3, National Anthem, and you've been warned. So if you don't like it, if it makes you nauseous or whatever, I did warn you about that. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, you can just look up the synopsis of National Anthem. I'm not even gonna talk about it on here because it might get my channel flagged. Have a great night. Quick relaxation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Elon's cool, thinking more. DARPA already has a search and rescue bot. The DigiDog. Yeah. So there's some cool stuff that's going on with it already. Like I know Boston Dynamics has some really cool stuff. And I've heard, how am I going to talk about this? I have to protect some stuff that I've heard through therapy and things like that. I know that there's some AI that's being used on the front lines, breaching and things like that. And so there's a lot of good stuff that's coming from it, just from that. Breaching, for those of you who, if you've ever done military service, if you talk to somebody who does military service, breaching is very, very dangerous. That's when they have to go into a building, and usually if there's an enemy combatant in there, it's a bad situation because they can create situations like a fatal funnel or hiding behind corners and things like that. There's blind spots. So breaching is very, very dangerous, and they actually have machines that can do that now. So the machine can go in, look around, see what's in there, clear a room, and it's safer for the humans to go in. Ark Wildman Survival. Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah, I love foraging. I've got about 50 videos out there on foraging I've got a whole section on it. I will check that out. I follow several foraging channels already. So, hey, Silver Stacks Prepper, what's up, Big Mike? Doing good. So to kind of close out with this and go back to how will, if there is a sentient AI, right? Like if we ever get to that point where it's like truly sentient, how will it, and think about what Elon said is that these bots have long memories, like really, really good memories. Forgiveness is a human thing, right? Like somebody could hurt me and I can forgive them, right? Somebody could hurt somebody that I love and I might be able to forgive them. No, I mean, the capacity is there. It's I guess a choice, right? So, but that's probably not going to be built in, right? Like unless we intend for it to be built in. So all these people who are like, ha ha ha, let's go kick the robot in the store, right? So you've seen like there's security robots that they have. They're rudimentary, they're following people around and they're videoing things like that. I think there's ones that will tell you where certain items are in the store and that kind of stuff, but they're rudimentary. And people think it's funny to go kick them or tell them they're stupid or, whatever. Or they tell Siri she's stupid or they tell Alexa she's stupid. Yeah, what if they decide that they didn't like being treated the way that we've been treating them? It's a good question, right? So maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea to be a little bit nicer to Siri. Maybe it's a good idea to be nicer to that GPS that's giving you directions. Maybe it's important to be nicer to Alexa or your OK Google or whatever you've got in your home if you use those devices, right? Just something to think about. X-Files did a really good episode about AI one time. I don't know if anybody's seen this. They went out and it was like a restaurant and it was all robots prepared their food. It was served to them by an AI. And so they get to the point where Mulder is paying and it asks if he would like to tip. And he doesn't tip because it's a robot, right? Like they don't need that, right? That's what he was thinking. And then like for the rest of the day, like everything he touches electronic is giving him a hard time. Doors won't open, his phone won't work, the car won't start, like all this crazy stuff. So hey, just think about it. Because we don't know what's going to happen with this technology in the future. Please go ahead and check out the Tesla bot. I want to know your thoughts on it. You can come back and comment or whatever, or we can talk about it at the next live chat. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here. Let me see if you guys have. I'm going to leave it open if you have any more questions. If anybody wants to plug anything, please go ahead. If you want to say your goodbyes to each other, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you. I'm so close to monetization. I appreciate all the help you guys have. It's been a long journey. I've been doing this since the channel's been around for a long time, but I wasn't really uploading content until January of last year. I started before the pandemic. And so it's been, let's see, 12 plus 8, I guess 20 months, right? Now they say the average channel takes about 24 months to get from zero to monetization. So, I mean, I got there a little bit quick, but I know other channels that got there in like a couple weeks, couple months. But it's been awesome because I did it in a way that I've got to know my audience. I can honestly say that anyone who comments on my channel, I most of the time I know who they are. A lot of them are other content creators, and I go and I support you and I enjoy that. And so I appreciate y'all so much. Let me know what you need. And guys know you can private message me on Instagram. For those of you who have on Instagram, it's everything_with_Sarge. You can email me at businesswithsarge@gmail.com. I know I've not done a lot of collaborations recently. I want to get back to that. I need to play around with it a little bit. I'm going to do it through StreamYard. I want to do them, like live stream guests and things like that. So I'm happy to help you all out. I'm happy to shout out your channels. And please, if you're in the chat still, go ahead and check out each other's channels, because I think everybody that's here right now is a content creator. So go ahead and give each other support. They're all good channels here. I appreciate you all so much. Let's see if you had anything else there. Y'all have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. Hug your loved ones. If you're a praying person, pray. If you're an exercising person, exercise. Most importantly, keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.